Very good. Well, you get your chance now, Steve, not only to do the papers, but, of course, to give us the mood of the newspapers.
The Sun, the mood of the Sun today is... as it is every day. Story on page 21 of the Sun. It's quite a horrible story. Awful picture of a headmaster, Kieran Heekin, who was allegedly glassed by an ex-pupil who held a grudge against him for 20 years. Apparently, this man walked into a curry house where his former headmaster was dining, said hello, and with two glasses proceeded to apparently smash him in the face with it. And he hadn't seen him for that long, and it just harboured this, it kind of festered away in him, and obviously a very, very angry ex-pupil.
If the allegation is correct, it does make you wonder that perhaps the headmaster's view that whatever it was that upsetting this man for so long may well have been right. If you did,
yeah, he did say he seemed like a slightly troubled boy when he was at school. Yeah. Okay. We have The Independent, the next story, page 13. The mood of The Independent day is, as it always is, this is, actually, it's a fantastic story about children cured of peanut allergy. Now, as you're aware, this peanut allergy can be a terrifying thing for any parent to have to live with, you know, the fear that their child might eat something that contains nuts and go into anaphylactic shock and potentially die. What they've done is they've taken a group of 22 children aged between 7 and 17, and they started them on a dose, a very, very small dose of peanut flour, and then over 6 months have increased that dose, so they've built up a tolerance.
Like a vaccine, then?
Pretty much, exactly, yeah. I mean, it takes a long time to do it, but basically over 6 months now, they can eat the equivalent of 10 peanuts a day, I think, or 5 peanuts a day.
Probably worth saying, anybody at home with a peanut allergy...
Don't try it.
Right, thank you, Steve.
Medical conditions, scientific conditions...
But it is fascinating, because there were some reports when this not so long ago suggesting that pregnant women should eat peanuts. I mean, it's always mixed messages, but there was some claim that pregnant women should consider eating peanuts, because if they did, it might reduce the chances of their children having allergies.
Yeah, of course. The Sun, page 4, this is a story about a couple who have been arrested in Venezuela, coming back from holiday in Venezuela with I think there's 4 children involved here, where they were 2 children by this couple and 2 children from a former relationship. But basically, this couple were coming back from a holiday and were found to be carrying a huge amount of cocaine, 25 kilos of cocaine.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. And the man involved, allegedly, was meant to have appeared in court this month for something else that he was meant to have done. And so he was kind of on the run anyway. And, allegedly. I don't know how many times I can say allegedly without it becoming quite dull.
As often as you can.
I have it tattooed on my back, the word allegedly.
Worse than that, I hear he appeared on the Jeremy Kyle show.
Allegedly.
Right. No, that's true. That's true. That's allegedly, a crime.
It's a programme.
That's a crime. Yeah? He is convicted and tried on the show.
Right. Who's watching that? And now, finally, my favourite paper of the week, the Daily Telegraph, which the mood of the Telegraph is... I've got Papa Ganoush all over my paper.
Not gentleman's relish.
No, Papa Ganoush. I am dining in the Middle East this week. This is one for you, Matthew. This is one for you. This is on page 11 of the Daily Telegraph. Croydon.
Yeah, no, well...
Your hometown. Yeah, it's finally closing its tourist information centre. Because the tourist information centre was largely being used to tell people where else to go. It was saying, you don't want to see anything round here, it's all rubbish. Go away. Look, here's one on Venezuela. So when actually it has moved, they have got a new tourist office and they're very proud of it.
Yeah, but, I bet no one can find it though, because that's one of the great things about Croydon, is having spent 18 years there, that when I return, I can't find my way around because they've shut all the roads. You used to be able to drive through the middle of Croydon, now you have to go round in a big circle.
Right.
Well, thereby missing the place altogether.
I think you may have got the subtext there.
Well, they just shut it up while you've been away. Shh, don't tell him. It's rubbish. It's rubbish.
We've got to get to a break. Don't diss my hometown. I come and have words, innit? Now, after the ads.